those structures. And if you enter those sort of buildings, I've seen a few of them, especially in the East, you need to see the designs, the gold and everything. I just think it's wasteful.
I agree with you, BC. I think what Eucharia is saying is beyond foolish.
Thanks for staying with us. So, you can't have a Friday without celebrity gist. So, one of our celebrities, actress Eucharia Anunobi, in one of her recent videos, said Nigerians who build all these palatial houses in the villages is foolishness, according to her. She said it's not wise to spend so much money to build a house in a place you rarely stay. Instead, use that money to provide affordable accommodation for those who are in their need of it. Now, that obviously is a noble sentence to say, but in reality, many people feel that, listen, my responsibility just to my family members or to my mother, my father in the village. So if I get wealthy in the city, I go to the village and I build a house there.
Hello, people. I welcome you to my YouTube channel, and I remain Didi Strides. Uh, I am doing a second edition of on this topic. About 3 weeks ago, I wade into this issue, and then never knew that I would have to talk about it again. If you want to hear what I said and my own opinion on this issue of building houses in the village, I want you to check the link below because the link of that video is in the description. All right. Just 10 days ago, these ladies from TVC brought the issue again. And now the reason why I am weighing into this is because they also made reference to Apostle Eucharia Anunobi. And then I remember that the video I did was in response to what Apostle Eucharia Anunobi said concerning Igbos who built palatial and mansions in their villages, whereas they rarely go there or they rarely live in those places. Okay? If you want to know exactly what I said, because I spent a lot of time, one of the things I did was to broaden up. I expanded the topic for us to see what we're actually talking about. All right? For us to know what we are actually dealing with. And that is one of the things I'm going to also do. But for the fact that these ladies also went on this same issue, and now a lot of things, they said quite a lot of things in the course of their discussion. And subtly, they were able not to label a particular ethnic group, but I know that this is something that I've always been labeled on the Igbos. If you go through the comments that people were commenting, you also notice that is though that it is true that we're careful not to name a particular ethnic group, but we know that in the time past that this is what uh, is usually referred to, uh, is usually made in reference to the Igbos, all right? That the Igbos build palatial houses in their villages while they visit the villages once in a year. There are a lot of things I said in that video that I don't want to really repeat here. Okay, now what I'll be doing actually is to respond to some of the things that they have said. You can go to their channel and listen to what they said in full detail, and you can also go and listen to what I said on my channel, and then you can judge for yourself, all right, from a very unbiased point of view, what you think is right. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to say is that I'm happy some sort of that people are beginning to realize that this thing about building houses in the village is not just an Igbo thing. You have an element of that in amongst the Yorubas. For instance, there's a notable man of God in this country that I know very well, lives in Ogun State, has a very large ministry and a big ministry in Ogun State, but he came from Kwara State and he has his his house in his hometown. And we know that he's a very busy person, travels all over the world. The job of ministry is so demanding and all that, but he still has a house in his hometown. And then We also know that he has spent a lot in investing in his hometown and bringing development in his hometown. It, for God's sake, this is a natural thing to do. If you don't have the money to do that, it's a different thing entirely. But if you have the money to do that, okay, if you have the money to contribute to the development of your hometown, if you have the money to contribute to the development of your hometown, to starting from putting a befitting structure in your hometown, because I love that, I think it's Chidi by name a caller said your building should reflect you just like any other aspect of you. If I'm rich and wealthy, what I do, whatever I put forward should reflect who I am. If I'm building a house, it should reflect who I am. So I don't know where the criticism of like what they were saying, build a build a bungalow in your house. These guys are just okay if you just put up a thatch house or a hut or a bungalow in your village while you build palatial houses in the city. I mean, this is uncalled for. I've never had anything that sounds so irrational. I can understand if you don't have the money to do that. If you don't have the money to put up a befitting place in your hometown. I can understand that. But the fact that you're trying to bedevil that and they said it's a status symbol stuff that people are doing it, the Igbos are doing it because of status or whatever. It's not true. It's never true. Because if you don't get in, these are some of the criticism that people criticize Igbos, and thank God that we're beginning to realize that this is not just an Igbo thing. Thank God a lot of Yorubas called in and said that it's just unthinkable for one to think that I will return back. You know how return back to my village and oh my God, just like the lady who was saying that if I'm coming back to my village once in a year, it is more economical, as if what we're discussing here has to do with economy. Now, economy is a personal thing. All right, you are not in the person's pocket. So you are not the one to tell me I made my money. You're not the one to tell me if it's economical for me to build a house or is it economical for me to live in the set. And you know that some of these times, I just want to follow his argument. Assuming Igbos come back just once in a year, which I know that a typically Igbo man or any other person from any other part of the world visits their villages or their hometown more than 4 times in a year, an average of 4 times in a year. And in those 4 times in a year, the least they spend is at least 2 weeks, 1 week. And you're telling me it's economical to stay in a hotel, maybe a hotel that is not even befitting to my status, a hotel that could probably expose me to hazards and security. That I will take the whole of my family. Oh my God, what is this? Take the whole of my family. I wonder if people listen to themselves when they talk. I will take the whole of my family to a hotel. Not everybody likes to stay in a hotel. That's just the truth. If we're talking about an apartment, sort of. But where do you even find a befitting apartment? And wait, okay, if we're talking about apartment, now consider the economy also. So I know that the issue here is not economy. The issue here is criticizing the culture of a people and the way of life of a people. Do you understand? It's just it's not about economy because economy is a personal thing. If I make my money, I decide how I spend my money. You are not the one to tell me what I should do with my money. You are not the one to tell me the kind of house I should build in my village. And you are not the one to judge when I go to the village and when I don't go to the village. I know the kind of things I do in my village and I know the kind of house that I need in my village. I don't really want to repeat some of the things that I've said. Please, if you want to know my stand on this, I really want you to revisit my video that I did. The link is in the description, and you hear completely all I said about this. Then put it side by side with what they're saying, and then know if actually, a man called and said it's uncalled for. He's not even an Igbo for me to live in a hotel in my hometown. It's uncalled for. It's one of the most stupid things to do. And who wants to come back to a hut in your village? Who wants to come back to a thatch house in my village? Who wants to come back? I live a befitting a lifestyle in the city, or where you call a city, and I return back to my village to live in a mud house, to live in a thatch house, to live in a bungalow. Oh, come on. Where is the courtesy? Where is my tastes? Where is everything? I'm already comfortable with living in a palatial house, and you want me to return back to my village and live in a mud and maybe start sharing with other people because you felt I shouldn't build a house in my village. Now, in reviewing all they have said, I want to say that this is a very biased presentation. They were subtle enough not to label any ethnicity, because now we are realizing that it's not just an Igbo thing, even though the Igbos are mostly called, because everybody knows that it's not even everybody travels. Now, a man called and educated them on what they never knew. What I know that if they had known, they wouldn't have done this. In a country where you have what is called state of origin, in a country where you have what is called indigenization policies, in a country where I have lived in other states where I tried to access what is in that state, but I couldn't. I was limited because I was not an indigenous of that state. When we fill our forms and all that, you say, okay, Nigeria nationality, then state of origin, Anambra State. In a country like that, and you are telling people not to build a befitting houses in their village, not to build a house that should reflect who they are, reflect their tastes, reflect their status, oh, come on. What is wrong with building a house that reflects my status if I have what it takes to build it? If I have what it takes to build it, what is wrong with that? So I just want to see the myopism in their discussion. Even though they were subtle about it, they don't want to mention the name of a place, but somehow they betrayed their sentiments, because one of them kept mentioning the east, but with gold and all that. My God, it's not something you should break your head. Let me round this up by saying that this thing is not about celebrity gossip. It has nothing to do with Apostle Eucharia Anunobi. They just trying to use his person. Apostle Eucharia Anunobi said this about almost going to 1 month plus, because I did my own video about 3 weeks ago. All right, they just did their own about 10 days ago. So said what he said about going to like 2 months, maybe roughly 2 months now. I follow her on Instagram, and she does this periodic releases of videos where she talks about the issue. And thank God that people are beginning to listen, and that what he said is gathering attention. So I think in one of those videos he says something about it being stupid or what for people to build this all that. All right, she's somebody I respect her opinion, and I know there's a reason why she said what she said. And then this is not about celebrity gossip. This is about trying to use her personality right now to endorse what they are saying. Try to use her person to endorse what they are saying. All right? Now, if you don't have the fact that you work in a television station, doesn't mean you have all the money in the world. All right? If people are telling you that you are not building a house in the village, you don't do it, tell them, please, oh, I don't have the money. Oh. If I have, I will build. Instead of going all this thing and start attacking everyone. Now, You can even listen to hear what one of them is saying, especially that same lady who is saying that there's negative energy in the village. She forgets that there are negative energies in her place of work. Witches don't only reside in the village. There are witches that wear goggles. There are witches that signs check. There are witches that are your bosses that you report to. There are office politics and all that. But why do you take the negative energies in the city, but you don't want to take the one in your hometown? Now, you see that this is personal. Perhaps this is what have been passed down to her, that the village is bad. Your root, your ancestral root, where you got, even Jesus himself was called the Jesus of Nazareth. Amazingly, some people get so religious, or I don't know what I call it, and say they come from heaven. And all that, all these kind of things people say, I'm not from this world and all that. That's just stupidity. Jesus himself was called Jesus of Nazareth. His lineage, why did the Bible pay so much attention by tracing the lineage of Christ back to David, telling us about his forefathers and where he actually came from? That is to tell you that your background matters a lot. Where you come from gives you an identity. It amplifies who you are, spiritually and otherwise. When you're cut off from your root, you are cutting off from an insect. That is why sometimes when people are sick in the town, you take them down to their villages where they were born. And some of them, just by just drinking the same water they've always drank, they get healed. You wonder how they took her to the village. I know of a woman, they said they diagnosed her of whatever they diagnosed her of. Well, by the time they took her to the village and whatever happened, she got herself back. She got herself. There is something spiritual about your lineage. It has nothing to do with diabolics. It has something to do with what God has put where you came from. That soil, that water you drank, your root is something spiritual about it. But the truth is that there are a lot of people who have been cut off completely from their root. They've been completely cut off. They are answering Lagosians. Now, the lady here whose picture is there is a Lagosian. She doesn't have any problem. Even the way she's talking, you will know that she's just trying to stir up discussions and all that and all that. She knows the truth. Lagos is a village. Okay, let me even bring it. What is a village and what is a city? The city today was yesterday's village. Antony village was a village. Maroko, Aja, and some of these places you hear today that development takes place are all villages. In Lagos as a city, they practice what they call Oro Festival, which is a cultural thing, which is a traditional, just like what they do back in the villages. So Lagos is a village. So why aren't we criticizing that? Why should they be practicing Oro festivals? Why do we have the Omonile syndrome in Lagos State? Who are the Omoniles? These are the the people that has an ancestry tie to the place, the indigenes of the place. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I don't even know how people are reasoning. In a country like Nigeria, where everybody will be asked, read in your Bible, a time came when it was said everybody should return back to his own home. That was when Jesus was born. To go and take a census. Return back to your home and go and take a census of your place. Go to be counted in your own place. Such a thing could happen in Nigeria because we've had similar things. People cite things like the Biafran War, whatever. It might not necessarily be a war. It might just be a census that might warrant that everybody will be asked to return back to their village so that things will be taken. So we know how many of this ethnic group do we have, just to have the right statistics. Please, anybody who is from the east or any well-meaning person, God has blessed you with money, just neglect these conversations. I don't really know. The people who are saying, most of them don't have the money to do what they are fighting against. They don't have money to build houses in their villages. So that's why they are cleaving to what they have in the town and trying to cover it with unnecessary argument. The city you have today was yesterday's village. And what you call village today will become a city. In my state, for instance, in Anambra State, you hardly have what you call a typical village. Maybe they are talking from their own perspective. I don't know what their villages look like. But from where I come from, you don't have a typical village anymore. Even the psychic of the people you call village people are no longer villages. There is hardly any person you speak to in English in my place that doesn't respond to you. The young people who are growing up are all, many of them are graduates, and many of them are going to school, and many of them are artisans, but they are well exposed. Their psychic are no longer that of a typical village person. Many of them are students who only comes back. The other day I was out in my place and I saw some group of people, thinking it was what it used to be. I just thought, I know there were faces I didn't recognize. I started speaking Igbo to them. They responded in pidgin English, and from their accent I knew they were not Igbos. I asked, "You are not from this place?" They said they're from Kaduna State, driving a jeep in my village, renting a house in my village. Who is saying, we're talking about globalization here? Listen to me and listen very carefully. There is nothing like village anymore. Technology has ruled out village. We now have what is called remote work. People can be anywhere or any part and be doing whatever they are doing. That's the whole idea of things like metaverse. That's the whole idea of many things. One of the major things driving metaverse right now is remote working, the ability to meet in the space or meet whatever. This idea, globalization. So to say a particular place is a village as such, you shouldn't build. Meanwhile, you believe that people should build houses. There are people who have houses in different places. They have living houses in Abuja. They still have in Lagos. They still have in Port Harcourt, in their business locations. So if it's right for me to build a living house, a private house in Abuja, maybe because once in a while I go there for business, and build another one in Lagos because it's my business route. I also build in Port Harcourt because it's my business. Why don't you think it is right for me to have one in my village because it's also a route for me because I visit there periodically? And let me say, the average Igbo man visits his village 4 times in a year. And in all of those years, the least he stays in his village, if he has, is at least a week. And many times they spend close to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 1 month. Please, any well-meaning Igbo man or anybody well-meaning person from any part of the world who has a strong connection to his root should neglect what these ladies are saying. I put a complete disclaimer to some of the things. I don't want to go into what they are saying particularly because I have a lot of things to criticize about what they are saying. Please listen to my video that I did on this subject and put it side by side with what they're saying and then know which is better from a very unbiased point of view. My name is Didi Strides. Thank you for listening. Please love my video, share it, and if you're somebody who is connected to your root, thumbs up. Keep it up. God bless you.